What a piece. So that's a little different than what we've been hearing. And I am very, very pleased to welcome here on Radio KlezKamp, Itamar Danziger. Itamar, thank you for bringing that for us to listen to. What were we listening to? Tell me.
So this was the piece I wrote in 2007. It's called Meine Eltern's Freilach. And it was a quartet written for my parents' 30th anniversary. And so that was a little quartet I wrote.
You wrote that for your parents' anniversary?
Yep, for the 30th anniversary back in 2007.
Wow. Talk directly into the mic there.
There
Good.
you
go. All right. So that is really something. So tell me about your composing. That is so interesting. And you're a young guy now. Then you were really young. You were a kid.
So I was more of a kid back then. It's true. I'm right now 33.
All right. So now, a kid doesn't get up one day and say, I'm going to compose an orchestral piece for my parents' 30th anniversary. I mean, what was going on there? How did you do this? What's your background?
So, come from a musical family. My mom is an opera singer. So there's always music in the home. And somehow I got into a little bit of a klezmer flavor over the years, and I started writing. And that's how, in a nutshell, built up.
Now, there were a lot of instruments in that, so you wrote each piece, you wrote the score for each instrument separately? You orchestrated it like that?
Yep, there are 4 instruments in that piece. There's a piano, a bass clarinet, and 2 violin parts. And you put in the notes for each of the instruments. And then each player gets their part, and then they play it, and what you guys heard was the result of all of this.
Did you use a computer to help you with this?
Yes, I used a program called Finale, which is one of those nice programs that allows me to put in those notes to whichever instruments that I choose at that part. Yeah.
Now, you were telling me that you actually hear the notes when you notate them. What is the process for you to write a piece like that?
So the way it works for me is that I think in sounds. I feel in sounds. I live sounds. I walk in sounds. And often those sounds are very, usually I get ideas of very few notes. 3 notes, 6 notes, 4 bars. And as it slow cooks in my head, it builds and builds and builds and builds. And as I write it down, it builds more, almost like chillant, where it slow cooks until you have a whole thing. That piece that you guys heard had just a very simple idea, 4 bars that kept them building.
Wow, so you notate this, you think in sounds. What do you mean you walk to sounds? I want to understand, I want to better understand what you mean that you think in sounds.
It's very hard to describe a natural inborn status quo, so I'm trying to find the right words for sounds. But I can probably best describe my feelings and sounds in a melody. It's when I breathe and wake up to sounds in my head. When I walk down the street, the gait that I have as I walk produces music in my head. When I think, when I work, all of that produces sounds in my head. So that's what I do when I think and breathe and walk in sounds. All life produces music in my head.
You've composed other pieces as well, I assume?
Yeah.
So this piece, how'd you get it set to music like this? You had to hire an orchestra, I guess.
Basically the story is that I bumped into a person who's now a dear friend of mine called Ramon, simply Gross, who I met while he was finishing off his piano degree at Crane, which is in Potsdam, New York, not far from my house. And then it hit me that, hey, listen, he's in school. He has a lot of friends who also play music, and they want some money, and I want some help with my music. So he helped me out a lot with that piece and a few others. So he's quite the big help. He was the one playing the piano in that piece.
So, wonderful. What other pieces have you composed? Can you tell us a little about them?
So I have a lot of pieces that are on my shelf because they are for my ears. In other words, I haven't finished cooking yet. Not all recipes make it obviously to the cookbook, but usually I write small pieces for smaller orchestrations or small parts of pieces that are just sounds of regular me being in my head.
Itamar, tell us a little more about yourself. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school?
Sure. So I grew up between Israel, Denmark, a bit, upstate New York, a bit, and mostly Toronto. As I said, to a musical family. I didn't come to the klezmer kind of feeling until must have been my 10th birthday or 11th birthday, where I got a CD as a present. I was playing the clarinet still, and my mom gave me my parents gave me a CD of Giora Feidman, who is a klezmer clarinetist, and I fell in love. And since then, I had a passion for klezmer. Around the same time, I remember one time we were on a trip to New York City, and we were visiting a family friend, and as many kids occasionally do, I got myself grounded as his family friend, and there was a piano in the house, and I was the only person in the house. What else? I had nothing to do, so I started playing on the piano, which I didn't know how to do, but I knew how to make notes. I figured, okay, well, let's try this out. And since that punishment that I got grounded that day, came that little habit of writing music.
Wow, that is some story. So, you come from a musical home, just amazing. I see, and now you're living up in Canada, is that right?
Yep, I currently live in Cornwall, Ontario, which is about 80 miles west of Montreal in Ontario. And yeah.
And you're a student, or
I'm a social worker at the hospital in Cornwall, and that's my bread and butter. It's a job I love as well. With that, I also have my music in my heart as well, so that's a nice little balance.
You know, I'm so glad you came and shared this with us today on Radio KlezKamp. Do you have another piece that you could share?
Sure. So what I'm thinking about is this piece called The Train. And The Train is a piece that I wrote in 2009. And it was right after I finished my MSW at McGill. And one of the campus rabbis of the time, Rabbi Leibish Hundert, was a great inspiration for me because it was a very busy year. I was growing into my own skin. And Rabbi Leibish Hundert really, and his wife Dina, made sure that they were present in that growth. So I figured I'd write a piece to thank them. And I called that piece The Train, simply because I wanted to denote that journey that they helped me through that time of my life growing into my skin. So the next piece is called The Train, and here it is.
Wow, wow. Beautiful. Now, Itamar, you're a composer, unbelievable composer. Do you also play an instrument?
Yep. So I dabble with different clarinets. The bass clarinet is currently my predominant clarinet, and I play in the local community band up in Cornwall, Ontario, as the bass clarinet player.
Now, were you playing in these pieces that we heard?
Nope. All of them are through my friend Ramon Semke Gross, as well as some of his friends.
Itamar, thank you so much for sharing this with us on Radio KlezKamp.
And thanks so much for your time as well.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. All right.
Thanks a bunch.